Hey, everybody, welcome back to Greater Wilton Manors. I'm John Hayden, and look who is with me today. Eric Swanson. You may know slash recognize him from his alter ego, Miss Minnie Bouvèé, from every place up and down the drive, on cruise ships, at sea, in any place that aspires towards fabulousness. Eric, thank you so much for joining me today.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you, John. Thank you very much.
We are talking Pride. You are very involved in Naples Pride, and there's been a significant development in bringing this small Pride, which is really a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it is. Naples Pride is a small town pride comparatively. We sort of talked offline about comparing it to Stonewall.
Right.
It's on a smaller scale, and they were approved for their permit, which is fabulous news. That's always a good thing
Mhm.
to hold Pride. Comes with a big caveat, which is that drag has to be inside, is only, must be only visible to 18 and up. And of course, the security fees that they incurred last year are going to most likely be exceeded this year in terms of the amount.
Mhm. Security costs is not a unique problem to Naples. I
Right.
know that I've reported on it for Stonewall Pride uh, and various other prides that happen throughout the country. If it's not the security, it's the insurance, and sometimes it's both. Do you feel that it's being onerous towards the and sort of cost prohibitive to try and make them go away, or is it just sort of the legitimate cost of doing business now?
I think you have to look at it from a bigger picture in that, if let's say Stonewall has over $100,000 in security fees, we have the luxury of having queer-owned businesses and a donor pool that is larger and willing to help offset that. Whereas somebody like in Naples, where there are no gay bars in the city of Naples, there's very little support in terms of queer-owned business. The scale and the support doesn't match. So nobody wants to be on the wrong side of a security discussion.
Right.
Obviously we want a safe event. We want everyone to get in safely. Metal detectors are essential and security checkpoints. We've got to pay our officers. We obviously know that that costs money, but we have to make sure that the costs don't prohibit groups like Naples Pride from existing in small towns, which, in my opinion, is where their larger impact can be. They have to be able to hold these community events, and the costs can't be prohibitive.
Now, the vote was taken recently to approve the permits, and it was pretty strong pro Pride.
Yeah, well, they did. They approved a sort of a slew of permits for various different events. Pride being one of the many, and it's a good thing. We weren't sure how it was going to go given the lawsuit that's still sort of in the courts in the Florida Supreme Court. So, we're glad that they did. It seems counterproductive to what the court is sort of signaling. Of course, there's no ruling, but the city applied to have the case thrown out last week and it wasn't they didn't win that appeal. So, they're sort of signaling that they are really looking at this First Amendment right and how drag is protected under that First Amendment right. So for them to vote the permit in, but with those restrictions is still it's very bizarre to us.
You as a performer, and I don't want to put you in a corner or put you in a box and say you are only drag queen. You are an amazing singer, actor, I mean producer. I mean you're a multi hyphenate, as we like to say at Variety and the Hollywood Reporter, right?
I love that.
But your primary job, or at least what you're known for, is drag performances.
Mhm.
What does it feel like to have your profession demonized, belittled, made fun of just to score political points? How does that affect you personally and as an artist?
Well, I mean, drag queens and trans artists and drag art has been at the forefront of the queer movement for
Mm-hmm.
decades. And, you know, it's it's a I think a cross we voluntarily bear. We're used to being the most obnoxious, loudest, most avant-garde looking people in a march, and we're okay with that. We're okay
Yeah.
with that. We'll take the heat so that you feel safe marching behind us. That's something that not just me, but I know many of my sister queens feel as an honor in what we do. I think for my art, and seeing it used as political hockey pucks is it's obviously very disturbing and annoying because it just feels like they're looking at the wrong person, the wrong group of people that really are doing no harm to anyone. In fact, drag has been here for centuries, and
Yeah.
we've been at the forefront of artistic progression from Shakespeare to now. You were raised by Mrs. Doubtfire. You were raised by these people. Tootsie,
Yeah.
these are not uncommon things. And what seems to be common is school shootings and things like that. And those are the things they're not going after. It's just very bizarre to me to see it again just politicized and used against and restrictive of my employment.
Will there be a parade at Naples Pride? Like, what? How does the event go? Because some places have parades, some places don't.
Yeah. So no, there's no parade. They cordon off sort of a park area, and then there's an inside area that they also rent.
Okay.
Parades are expensive, as you probably know, to move
Yeah.
people safely along and barricade and all that stuff. So, and then if you're all parading to a festival, now you've got two security things you're really dealing about. So obviously, because of costs, a parade is not something that's going to happen. We're seeing this right now. The St. Patrick's Day parade was approved in Naples,
Mhm.
and because of the parade, they asked the city to help, and the city said no, there's no money for it, and so the organizers canceled the St. Patrick's Day parade. So this is an example of these costs that are prohibiting not just LGBTQ groups,
Yeah.
groups that want to do activities in these small towns. It's just getting to be too expensive, and so they're pulling the plug.
So if there's no parade for whatever reason, in this case, financial and logistical issues, if there's no parade and it's in a fenced off area, are people like, what if people just show up in drag? Are they going to be arresting people on the way? Are they going to put a black shroud over them as they go from the gate into the auditorium or whatever the entertainment venue is? Like, just how, as a practicality, does that even work?
That's a really good question, and I think that's the argument that many of the people, like the ACLU for the state of Florida, is taking is where's the line? What's the vagueness? Is it a performance that you're talking about? And what is defined as prosthetic? Are you being transphobic in this rule? It's very very vague. It's 5 pages. It's like 128 lines or something like that. I've read it many times, and it is vague. Like is if I am on the street and I see it, can I cite that as a performance? The answer is no. I've chosen to look in, right? It's like I think it's the 16th Amendment. You'd have to fact check me on this. But if I'm walking past a fence and I choose to look over and you're laying naked by your pool, I have chosen to engage in that view, right? So it's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing when you have a festival that's closed off and there's an admittance area, a security checkpoint. If you are walking by and you get offended because your child saw a drag queen, you've chosen to walk by a parade. Just don't go by that festival for the day. You know what I mean? There's 364 other days in the year. That's really one argument. So I don't think they're citing that. They're really cracking down on performances and that are not deemed what the law says artistic value or literary history. So something like a play, I'm about to do Edna Turnblad in Hairspray, that's a
Ah,
theatrical work. It would not fall technically under this SB 1438 rule.
okay.
But something like a drag show at a pride could be perceived as lewd, and that's what they sought after last year. The police vetted it the year before. The city council vetted it. Nothing was deemed lewd at all. It was a family-friendly show, but the city will still not let go of this restriction, and they're citing SB 1438 and the state restrictions on performance of drag.
Why are you so passionate about Naples pride? Is it symbolic to you of all the small prides around the world? Is it, do you just love Naples? Like, why does this one become your cause?
Well, I think we're seeing it. We're seeing these trends in a lot of prides. Take, for example, Tampa. So to answer your question in shorthand, I care about all prides. I also love Naples. I've been performing there since 2016, when I was playing piano for a living, and I would go do Bambuza in Naples. And so I have friends there that are, 10 years long friendships. I have deep roots there, deeper than here at first, because now I live in Wilton Manors. I was performing in Naples first. And, we saw Tampa Pride pull their pride because of financial and logistical and political reasons.
Mhm.
Now someone's taken over and they're paring down, eliminating a parade, making an area. We're seeing this in these smaller nonprofit pride organizations where they're being forced to really, really pull it in and figure out the most minimal way to exist. And I just think that that is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous ask to eliminate what these organizations do year round and reduce their visibility and therefore reducing their impact.
A wise person once said, the answer to every question is money.
It's money.
And money, and we touched on it earlier, but we need money to make this happen. The fact that it's been approved doesn't automatically mean rainbows are just going to sprout up some weekend in June. What do we need money for, and how can my viewers help out the cause and give a little?
Well, I'm doing so last year I set a goal of $10,000. We exceeded that. We got closer to 12. This year I'm setting a goal of $15,000. And it's direct donations. I share the link directly to, Naples Pride organization. You can donate directly there, tax deductible. When I do my shows at Show Tunes Tuesday at the pub, I always dedicate one or two songs, usually like an opera or a song that's sort of centered around social justice. I put out a tip bucket, and all the money that goes into that bucket during that song gets donated to Naples Pride. And I always screenshot the Venmo or the donation receipt so people can see the night. On Tuesday, we raised $900. Here's $900 that was donated to Naples Pride. So they see it going, and that number will keep moving up. So I set a goal, $15,000 by March 15th, and I think we can do it. I think we can.
I'm pretty much a homebody. You only see me out when we're both probably at an event or doing
And
something.
then,
But
yeah.
I am going to come out on a Tuesday, and we are going to make this happen. I'm going to give some money and really twist my arm, maybe have a cocktail while I'm there. It's fun fundraising at the end
Yeah,
of it, and it's
it
for an
is.
excellent cause.
It
Now I
is.
don't now I don't want to get too far off track, but first, congratulations on 5 years at the pub
Thank
doing
you.
doing shows there. That's fantastic. And here's to
Yeah.
another five more. You're not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. I know. Cheers to another five more.
And where can I see you as Edna?
So I'm doing Edna in Slow Burn Theater's Hairspray, which will be at the Amaturo Theater at the Broward Center. And I know you could go to slowburntheater.org. Tickets are selling, and it's just a great show. It's one of those shows that like humorously attacks some big social justice issues,
Right.
and you sort of it breaks down your barrier, and you kind of leave with this uplifted spirit of like we can be part of a really cool change, and you can't stop the beat. So
You can't. The
you
only
can.
thing that sucks about your role, which is a fantastic role, by the way,
Yeah,
the only thing that sucks is you don't get to sing Good Morning Baltimore. I don't
I
know
know.
why I love that song so much. I've never lived in Baltimore. My city stole their football team, so they don't love me. I mean, but it's such a great role, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about that as it gets closer. When is the role? Show.
It's April 11th through April 26th at the
Okay.
Amaturo. So yeah, let's chat a little bit closer too. I would love that.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Eric, thank you so much for entertaining us, for educating us, and doing everything that you don't have to do, but you're doing it. So I say from the bottom of my heart and representing all of my viewers, thank you so very much.
My pleasure, John. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.